Hello everybody and welcome back to the F124 Ferrari Driver Career Mode. We are back here for round 23 at the Qatar Grand Prix, the Losail International Circuit, and hoo boy, is this going to be a good one. Tire degradation is insane. I mean, I did one lap on softs and they had worn like 12%. It was just insane, the amount of tire wear around this circuit, and explains why last season they had to limit these stints to 18 laps, if you remember, during the Grand Prix. So yeah, it looked like I have strong pace, but the Red Bulls do look very strong, and remember, we are locked tight in that battle with Red Bull. And now we are 346 points to Max Verstappen's 358, so 12-point difference between the two of us. Leclerc is now out of the title fight. It's down to us two. And Ferrari, we have secured the constructors' standings now. I believe, if I do have my math right, we are the constructors' champions. Yes, so going into this sprint race, I guess I should say, I'm very confident that we will have decent pace to be in the upper half of the midfield, but I don't think we'll be anywhere near the front to win. But, you know, we've had good surprises over the past few races. Our pace has been very strong. Let's see what the Ferrari can do around the Losail International Circuit.
About flow and pace today, qualifying in Qatar. A high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. So welcome along.
Well, here we go, ready to start our first lap of the penultimate round of the season. Under the lights, last three races of the season are night races. And now we head through the long turn one, and finally they have updated the grandstand to be on the inside there of turn two on the left-hand side, now completely flat through here. And I gotta be careful through some of these corners to control the tire slip. This track is brutal on your tires. And actually, if you didn't know, this circuit is designed for more bike racing, MotoGP races here. And this track made its debut in Formula 1 in 2021. Took a year off in 22 and returned for 23. And it looks like it's back on the calendar for good now for at least the next few years. As now we head up through this section. It's going to be completely flat out. Very much like the... Ooh, yeah, very unique set of corners through there, but it can be taken completely flat as long as you got the tires, although it is very easy to lose the back end. And now through the final corner, you can see as we now power down towards the line, which has been moved up by quite a bit, and now that is fastest in the session so far. Wow. Okay, well, here at the end of SQ1, 5/10, clear of Lando Norris. I'm actually very surprised about that as Logan Sargent squeezes through. Yeah, so looks like we are getting some pace out of the Ferrari this weekend. I made some setup changes after practice, but I'm absolutely baffled at that lap time. 5/10. And that wasn't even that great of a lap, so clearly showing some pace here. Is out in Q1. We have Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo, Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, and Nico Hülkenberg, the two Haas cars lining up on the back row for the sprint. Let's progress on to SQ2. Hopefully we can keep this pace. Well, now as we finish our one and only run of Q2, it's been a very good lap. We've gone purple in the first two sectors, and I think I might need to up the difficulty just a little bit before the sprint race, if I'm being completely honest, because this seems extremely unfair. As now we go fastest once again for Max Verstappen, and we'll top the timing sheets at this moment at the end of SQ2. Well, here we go. Once again, end of Q2. We top the timing sheets, but only by 1.43. Well, I guess I should say 0.143 of a second from Max Verstappen. Checo making it through once again. Stroll making it through to Q3 as well. But then we've got Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Alex Albon, Logan Sargent, and Yuki Tsunoda all out in SQ2. Well, to start our one and only run of SQ3 here with 2 minutes to go in the session, this needs to be a perfect lap if we want to get pole position for the sprint race. Well, the flow of this circuit is unmatched by any other on the Formula 1 calendar. As now we head up towards the line, and it is going to be fastest once again. And now, as everybody else is going to be finishing their laps, can we hold on to pole position? Well, yes, we can, as we hold on to pole here for the sprint race from Sergio Perez out qualifying Max Verstappen. Look at that. 5/10 between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen somehow. The gap being that massive. So Checo clearly has good pace around this track. Then comes Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, our teammate, qualifying 6th. Then George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Lance Stroll. So heading into the sprint race, it's going to be a good one.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, Sargent, Tsunoda, Bottas, Ricciardo, Joe, Magnussen, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And alongside me, a man, well, what more can I say? But he's a legend, Anthony Davidson. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say they've got the better of them more often than not.
Yeah, they have, and it's, rule number one, beat your teammate. They're the one that share the same equipment as you, and yes, the cars can vary and set up from race to race and depending on who has which style, but essentially they're your barometer, the yardstick. If you can beat them, that's the first job you have to do. and it looks like it's going their way, doesn't it? And they need to carry on this momentum, this energy through the rest of the season.
Well, we are beating our teammate at the moment, and it's going to be a one-stop for everybody on the medium compound tires. Nothing more to say other than that. Track temperature will be dropping because the sun will be setting. Let's do this.
The formation lap gets underway ahead of today's sprint. It's going to be interesting to see who gets pole position.
Well, once again, EA putting in the least amount of effort because they still have a line from the 2022 sprint format. So ridiculous.
We're almost ready to start the sprint as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Well, there you go. As I'm going to pull into my pole position grid slot for the Qatar sprint race. The same sprint race where Max Verstappen won his 3rd title last season. And hopefully we can stop him from taking a 4th and take our 1st, as now the green flag is going to wave at the end of the formation lap. And I'm in the wrong camera there, but it is going to be 5 red lights and lights out, and away we go. And Checo Perez gets a much better start than us, as does Max Verstappen, as already Checo is alongside and ahead of us. Now we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Don't want to Lewis Hamilton it, as now, we go into turn 1 and just about stay ahead of Checo, but now we still have Verstappen to deal with, our title rival. We're going to force him out wide onto the curbing, and now can we switch it back up the inside? We're going to be deploying some battery, go back around to the outside. Can we hook a move up? No, we can't, as Max Verstappen now takes the lead of the Qatar sprint race, and now here comes his teammate Sergio Perez. He'll be instructed by Christian Horner to do everything he can to stop me from finishing ahead of Max. Max right now does have that championship lead by 12 points, so we need to make sure we are finishing ahead of him today. Even if we do, it'll only be 1 point, but 1 point is better than nothing, as his results have been pretty inconsistent the past few races. He's finished 7th twice and 4th. His last win was all the way back in Singapore, which is also the last race that we did not win. As now we are going to head through this flat out section. I knew our qualifying pace was going to be a lot better than our race pace, as now as the sun sets on the beautiful LaSalle International Circuit, we round the final corner for the first time of 10. And now we've been using quite a bit of battery.
DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
As now Norris looks like he's going to go side by side with Checo into turn 1 as they're fighting. Norris gets shoved just a little bit there by the Mexican driver. And now we need to try to stay with Max Verstappen. Of course, there is only one DRS zone, and that would be down the main straight. And with that line being moved up,
watch out for understeer in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as quickly as you can. Push, push.
With the start-finish line being moved up, there's not really any battles down towards the line with the DRS like there was in last year's game where the track wasn't updated. So we need to make sure we get past Verstappen as soon as possible and hold the position. It's very difficult to defend around this circuit down into turn 1 because it's a heavy braking zone, but not so heavy that it's really good enough for dive bombs. It's kind of like the Barcelona. I don't remember what turn number it is, but it's the one at the end of that back straight. So you can't really dive bomb into it, but you can definitely make overtakes as long as you've got a wheel in. So now we're going to gain on Verstappen with DRS wide open as our teammate sets the fastest lap. Can we go up the inside? See, that's what I mean. You can't really send it up the inside for a dive bomb in that corner because it's just too rounded off and not sharp enough. Too fast of a corner to send it. So now we're going to have to spend another lap behind the Dutchman. Well, this has been a very good lap as we set a purple middle sector. Can we have a look on Verstappen down into turn 1? So we take a little bit of a wider line out of the final corner. which compromises our exit a little bit, but it is no matter as now we get DRS and we do set the fastest lap of the race. Can we look at the inside? No, he's got it covered. He's going to force us to go the long way around, which isn't as bad because that gives us the inside for the second turn. As can we hold the position down into turn 1 here on lap 4? We're still going side by side with the Red Bull World Champion and trying to see what kind of moves he's trying to make, and he does manage to defend the position. Max Verstappen is a great defender, as we've seen in years gone by. He knows how to hold on to a position, and he will stop at nothing to make sure he stays ahead of his rivals. So we might have another shot at him back down into turn 1. We got to save up a little bit more battery though if we want to make it stick. Well, here we go again, once again on Max Verstappen, and now we are going to get a very clean run on him, tucking into the slipstream. And before we get to the braking zone, we are pretty much a full car length ahead. Ooh, as I go very wide there, I got a little bit of wheel spin, wasn't really paying attention. I was trying to look at my MFD to see how much battery I've got. And now we do retake the lead of the Qatar Grand Prix sprint race on this Saturday night in the Middle East. And now, can we hold it? We're halfway through the sprint, and heading out into turn 1, I'll imagine Max Verstappen will be having a look at us. Well, that big slide certainly did compromise our exit. Now here comes Lando Norris. We're going to go 3 wide down into turn 1. Lando gets a beautiful double slipstream. And now we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. A little bit of wheel banging with Max Verstappen there, but no harm done, as now Lando snatches 3rd off of us. So we go, or 2nd off us I should say. We're down to 3rd now. So we lose 2 positions in the space of 1 corner. And now look at how Lando's just hounding the back of Max Verstappen there. Very close between the 3 of us, and don't count out Perez or Piastri behind us, because now we've got yellow flags out and somebody's got some issues. Looks like a Haas car at the back. Haas having a terrible sprint quali session, and I can't really tell which driver it is. But yeah, it's Kevin Magnussen out of the session now with a mechanical DNF. Hopefully our Ferrari engine doesn't do the same as his just did. As now, are we going to go 3 wide down into turn 1 once again? I mean, we saw it, the same situation. Let's just keep going wide out of that final corner, which is compromising my exit. As now Lando's going to gain on Max Verstappen. Is he going to be close enough to have a look? He's going to try to go up the inside, and that will certainly help our chances. We're going to take a different line to the rest of the drivers that we've been taking all weekend, just to try to help us out in this battle a little bit, to get different speeds out of the corner. We got to try different things if we want to make this victory happen. But I really don't want Verstappen to push his championship lead out any further, as now we head through the section where Nico Hülkenberg, or Kevin Magnussen, excuse me, in his Haas car pulls over to the side of the circuit. So unfortunately for K-Mag, he's out of the sprint, as I mentioned earlier. And I can see the sun just dipping further below the horizon every time we head around this corner, and that was a big wobble out of there. We're heading back down into turn 1 once again. We have been saving up a little bit of battery over the past lap. And now Lando's going to try the outside line this time on Max Verstappen. By the time they get to the braking zone, he is ahead, but Max is just going to force him out. You can see there, but Lando's now going to have the inside line for turn 2. Can he retake the lead of the sprint? He does. So now Lando Norris leads the Qatar sprint race. And now, can we have a look on Max Verstappen? We got very close there, but decided to back out of it. We've got 2 and a bit laps to go. And heading back down into turn 1 is, of course, going to be our next overtaking opportunity. So through this section, just going to charge up my battery. Well, I am 99% certain that Max Verstappen will have a lunge on Lando Norris, and hopefully an avenue can open up for us to get past. But no, Max is not close enough this time around to make a move on Lando Norris. And now, next time across the line will be the final lap, so we got to pick up the pace here. Well, now we are going to head out of the final corner for the penultimate time of this Qatar sprint race. And now, are we going to be close enough to have a look on either one of them? Max Verstappen certainly is on the inside of Lando Norris. Are we going to be close enough for an avenue to open up, as there's a little bit of wheel banging between the two of them? Lando Norris, once again, is going to have the inside line, but can we get on the throttle nice and early? Yes, we do. And now Max Verstappen's going to have a slower exit. Can we have a look on the Dutchman? Can we switch back to the outside? This is exactly what happened on lap 1, except this time we're going to have the confidence to make it stick around the outside, but still, Max is going to hold that outside line. And now, as we get a very, very wheel spinny exit out of that corner, we take second place off of Max Verstappen. And now maybe, just maybe, we can have a look on Lando Norris if we push as hard as we possibly can. AI usually use all of their battery by the last few corners. However, that is not the case for us. And now, if we take this section completely flat out, can we gain on the McLaren man at all? A few tenths through there. So I'm not sure if this will be enough to pass Lando Norris. And now out of the final corner, it is going to be the young British driver who wins the sprint race. We take second and extend.
Yes, great drive, great drive. Everyone here is really happy with that performance. Well done, mate.
I guess I should say Max Verstappen, we prevent him from extending his lead, and Lando Norris wins the sprint race here in Qatar.
Well, that's an end to the sprint action. Next up, we'll set the grid for the Grand Prix. So we'll see you next time.
Well, Lando Norris takes the win from ourselves, and then Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri, George Russell, Leclerc down in 7th, losing his confidence. And then Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Alexander Albon rounding out the top 10, although the top 8 only get points, and now that is down to 11 points between myself and Max Verstappen in the championship. I know that it only boils down to 11 points from 12, which is a 1-point difference. However, 1 point is better than nothing. So, once again, we are eating ever so slightly into Max Verstappen's lead in the championship. And with this pace, very, very encouraging for tomorrow's race. So, I'll see you guys then, but for now, goodbye.